Emily remembered the moment when the first split occurred in their happy and serene family life. It all started early Saturday morning. The door to the apartment quietly opened and a rumpled but satisfied husband appeared on the threshold. "Michael, I see your corporate party is delayed," Emily said with a note of annoyance in her voice, "and he said that you would sit there for an hour and be in time for dinner." Then he just made a softer look and replied in an apologetic voice, "Honey, I was really going to sneak away after the official part, but the boss personally told me to entertain one of the customers." Somewhere in the area of the knee, there was a bright trace of lipstick. "And what else is this?" his wife asked discontentedly, pointing her finger at the obvious proof of a riotous party. "Just don't say that one of the employees confused your trouser leg with a napkin when she was wiping her lips after a glass of cognac." Michael looked down and, noticing the clear imprint of a woman's lips on his trouser leg, shrugged his shoulders awkwardly. "It's all Barbara, our chief accountant. She was offered to participate in the competition. Who will do 10 squats the fastest? But she did not calculate her strength. Twice, Barbara somehow managed to do it with the help of a chair, but then it broke. Therefore, the third time she rose with the help of my trouser legs. You had some strange competitions, but it's not for me to judge. Everyone's tastes are different," my wife concluded, pursing her lips. "And now, give me your salary and quarterly bonus. Tomorrow you will have to pay off the loan for the apartment, and in 2 days you will pay off the loan for your new car." But then the look of my husband became even more apologetic. "Honey, here is the thing." He hesitated. "In short, I have no money. It's all Mrs. Barbara's fault. She is a colourful lady, and when she climbed up my trousers she tore her pocket, so all the money fell out imperceptibly." "What nonsense are you talking about now? You receive money on your card." "Call and block it," my wife offered in a cold tone, frowning discontentedly. Michael paused. His eyes darted from side to side. Emily's gaze grew heavier with every second. Then, my husband realised that he could not just get away with it and began to choose his words carefully. "I withdrew all the money myself and wanted to make a surprise by arranging fireworks for you from it. He deliberately took off small bills. But yesterday apparently was not my day. I accidentally stumbled near an open hatch. So the salary and bonus were washed away by water." Emily took a deep breath, turned her eyes angrily, not believing an ounce in her husband's fantastic excuses, and began to prepare breakfast. If she now begins to deal with him about the disappearance of money, then the day can be crossed out. Therefore, my wife willfully switched her attention to ideas where she could quickly find money to repay loans. After breakfast, Emily called her friend. "Sarah, help me out. I need money urgently." My friend thought for a second and then answered, "Now I myself have a tension with finances, but I can throw up an idea of how to earn them. The main thing is that you can ask for an advance there. It will be necessary to clean the apartment of one lady 3 times a week. The client is businesslike, all in business, so she has no time to look after the house." Emily didn't have much to think about, so she agreed. For the whole month, she was torn apart by 2 jobs. At the same time, the husband behaved quietly and exemplary. He also began to come home later, trying to earn a good bonus. Finally, it was time for another payment. Emily looked expectantly at her husband after dinner. A little nervous, he took a bank card out of his wallet. "I had unforeseen expenses. I had to take a client to a restaurant." "So the money on the card is a little short," Michael said in a stammering voice, hiding his eyes. "But the bonus for the next quarter will be twice as much." The wife looked sternly at her husband and took the card. Well, first I have to live to see your bonus." The next day, Emily went to the ATM to pay off her loans. She inserted the card, entered the password, and froze in place. The ATM showed a balance of $202. Somewhere in the area of her abdomen, a wave of anger began to rise. "Are you kidding? And that's what you call a little missing? Where did the money go this time?" Emily snapped, dialing her husband's number. Mind you, If you can't come up with a reasonable explanation, I'll take your car keys away from you." In the evening, Michael walked into the kitchen, shifting awkwardly. He expected his wife to leave him without dinner, but he was lucky. Therefore, the husband received his portion of dumplings. Emily behaved coldly towards him, but did not arrange interrogations. Michael had already decided that the universe was smiling at him today, and relaxed a little. However, when the children went to their rooms, the wife looked at her husband with a squint. "So, I'm not going to find out where your salary disappears for the second month in a row. You don't tell the truth, and your delusional excuses make me indigestible. Therefore, tomorrow you switch to a budget mode of transport. A bus. Maybe this will motivate you to bring your salary home next month." Michael became even more nervous. "Honey, but I can't do without a car. I have clients, meetings. Without a car, I will look unrespectable and stupid. Here, stay in my place. For the second month in a row, I also feel unsolid and stupid, working as a cleaner 3 times a week, although I am a leading engineer." My wife calmly replied and hid the car keys in her bag. And if you are not satisfied with public transport for something, then start mastering the bicycle. You will tell customers that you are preparing for a marathon race. My husband flapped his eyes in bewilderment. He tried to somehow convince his wife to reconsider her tough decision, but she put on headphones and began to watch the program Add Pepper to the Relationship. About 2 weeks later, Emily, as usual, went to a second job. She had already cleaned up the garbage in the client's apartment, washed the floor, and began to wipe the windows. And then Emily's eyes accidentally fell on the street, where she saw a strange scene. A man was riding a bicycle with a bouquet of flowers in his backpack. He was wearing a raincoat, although the sun was shining in the sky. Then, he stopped at the entrance and took a bouquet out of his backpack. He took off his raincoat, dusted off his trousers, and wiped his shoes with a damp cloth. And something about the man's appearance seemed familiar to her. When Emily took a closer look at the bike, she recognized the black ribbon on the bumper. "My husband has been riding this bike to work for the second week." "I didn't know that Michael served clients at home in the evenings," Emily thought, and thoughtfully continued to wipe the windowsill. But then the unexpected happened. A girl came out of the entrance and kissed Michael. He gave her the bouquet, then gently hugged her waist, and they went somewhere at a walking pace. "Now it is clear where your salary disappears." His wife indignantly knocked on the edge of the windowsill, strained through her teeth. Emily quickly finished her work, went down to the entrance, and took the bike. Inside herself, she was so indignant that she did not even notice how she did not pay in the minibus. When she came home, she deliberately put the bike on the loggia to hear another fairy tale of the cheater. About 2 hours later, my husband appeared. "Emily, just don't swear. I was robbed today. While I was meeting with a client in the office, someone took the bike," Michael began from the doorway, sighing sadly. The wife didn't answer this, but only waited for her husband to come into the kitchen, and as soon as he tried to look under the lid of the pot, his wife abruptly besieged him. "Now is not the time to fill your stomach," his wife began in an overly calm voice. "Let's get it straight. So, I support my family, work part-time, and you spend money on my mistress." Michael's hand with the lid hovered in the air. Then he slowly put her back in her place, and squinted his eyes in the direction of his wife. She folded her arms over her chest and took a defensive position. "It's even good that you found out about everything," Michael replied quietly with a short sigh. "I think that our relationship has changed. You are too immersed in everyday life and work. You practically do not pay attention to me. So it's your own fault that I got carried away with Mia. She understands me and is ready to support me at any time. Wow, it turns out that I am also guilty." "All right, dear," Emily said with metal in her voice, "then go to your understanding mistress. It will be interesting to see when she shows you the door. I don't think she knows that I'm paying off the loans for your expensive suits and car." Michael looked at his wife anxiously. "What are you hinting at? That you will go to your mistress with what you have earned yourself?" Pick up your bike with a backpack and your stretched t-shirts. But I'll keep the car and 3 suits, which cost me a tidy sum," Emily added with a threat in her voice. About an hour later, the front door slammed. Amelia locked herself in the bathroom and burst into tears. The situation was extremely unpleasant and painful. But after 15 minutes, she washed her face and firmly decided that she would not let herself go limp. She has 4 loans, and 3 of which should have been repaid by her husband. Since it was his idea to buy a car, business suits of leading brands, and a fashionable smartphone in installments. Another thing is that she naively took out loans for herself. Amelia picked up the phone to call her friend. "Sarah, I need your help. Look after the children and the apartment. I can't be torn apart at 2 jobs anymore. I'm going to move to another department for a year. They pay twice as much, but every month there are business trips." As Amelia expected, her friend agreed without question. The next day, she wrote an application for transfer. In the new place, she was considered new, so they did not stand on ceremony with her. They gave me a day to pack and sent me on a business trip. 2 months flew by in an instant. Amelia had no time to worry about her husband's infidelity. All my strength went to work. So at least she managed to stay afloat and pay off loans on time. And one day, after one hard day, Amelia met Michael near the house. My husband lost weight, and was dressed in a tracksuit, although he could not stand such clothes before. "Amelia, hello. I'm glad to see you," he began in a low voice. "Something quickly understood your mistress ended," my wife remarked snidely. "I heard from the children that you have been living with your mother for a month." "You know, you were right," Michael continued, pretending not to notice his wife's barbs. "Mia attracted me only to the status of a successful man. When she found out that the car was registered to you, she was completely angry. She said that her love for me was gone and offered to end the relationship." Amelia smiled bitterly and answered, "What do you think? If you just ask for forgiveness, then I will immediately take you back." Wrong. I also had time to think about a lot during these months, and I realised that I need a reliable man and not the one who shifts all responsibility for life and finances to his wife. Then Amelia turned round and walked proudly past Michael. The sight of her shabby husband made her feel better, but the attack from her husband did not end there. In the evening, her mother-in-law called. "Emily, you haven't visited me for a long time," she began in a gentle voice. "I haven't seen my grandchildren for a long time. Maybe you will drop by on Saturday." For 3 years, her mother-in-law had been communicating with her only through her husband, and even then she had given instructions on the proper management of the household, and then she suddenly condescended to talk. "And you, Mrs. Anastasia, were not in a hurry to visit us. If my memory serves me correctly, you said that I do not give your son freedom and constantly push him around. Well, now he can live a free life. Don't be so harsh to him." The mother-in-law tried to appease her daughter-in-law. "Everyone is mistaken. I also admit that I was unfair to you." At this point, the mother-in-law's patience ended. She cleared her throat and continued instructively. "Amelia, take Michael back. I can no longer listen to his whining." She did not manage to pretend to be sweet and caring for a long time. Amelia sat in bewilderment with the phone in her hand, but short beeps were already heard in it. The debts ate up the family, but returned the husband to his wife. Amelia knew she would forgive Michael anyway, though not immediately, of course. Now, he must prove that he is ready not only to flaunt in an expensive suit, but also to earn money for it on his own.